Hello students, welcome to Monmi Ma'am's class. In this class, we will do the detailed explaining of the daffodils. In the previous classes, we already did the introduction to the poem and the explanation of the first stanza of the poem along with the literary devices present in the first stanza. So without wasting any time, without any delay, let us start the second stanza of the poem. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, dispersed in never-ending line along the margin of a bay, 10,000 saw at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Now, the poet William Wordsworth, he was greatly impressed by the huge number of golden daffodils present in that countryside. They were so huge in number, they were in uncountable number. So in order to show the predominance of the daffodils displayed, a predominance of number displayed by the daffodils in that countryside, because the daffodils were huge in number, there were no other elements in that countryside which could predominate the daffodils in terms of number. So the daffodils were huge in number. So in order to describe their huge numbers, in order to describe their innumerable numbers, the poet is comparing them with the uncountable stars in the Milky Way. Now, all of us know that stars are always uncountable. It is impossible to count the number of stars in the sky. So the poet is saying that just like the infinite number of stars in the sky, just like the stars which are uncountable, similarly the daffodils present in the countryside were uncountable. But the poet is not only comparing the daffodils with the stars only to show their number. He also wants to show the predominance of beauty displayed by the daffodils in the countryside, that the daffodils were predominating the beauty of each and every element present in that countryside. There were other elements of nature, the lake, the valley, the boughs of the trees, everything was so beautiful, but the daffodils predominated the other elements of nature in terms of beauty. So the poet also wants to show the predominance of beauty displayed by the golden daffodils in the countryside. How? So just like the star, just like the Milky Way, which looks beautiful due to the twinkling stars, due to the shining stars, similarly the daffodils were making the countryside look very, very beautiful. The entire countryside was looking beautiful with the shining golden daffodils, with the beautiful golden daffodils. They were fluttering, they were dancing in the breeze, so they looked like those twinkling stars of the Milky Way. After that, the poet says that they expressed in never-ending line along the margin of the day. So these daffodils were growing in huge number. They were a long belt of golden daffodils. So as far as the eyes could see, by the side of the lake, the daffodils were growing in a never-ending line. And therefore they were growing in a never-ending line along the side of the way, along the side of the lake, by the side of the lake. And then 10,000 saw at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So the daffodils, due to their huge number, the poet is made to use one hyperbole here. He is exaggerating because he is not sure about the number of golden daffodils growing in the countryside. So he said that probably about 10,000 daffodils were growing in that countryside area of England. So he thought that probably 10,000 daffodils were growing in that area. So the poet, his initial loneliness disappeared, and now he was experiencing joy, he was experiencing bliss, he was experiencing happiness by looking at the sheer number of golden daffodils in that countryside. These daffodils were growing by the side of the lake, they were growing by the side of the lake, they were huge in number, they were uncountable in number. So let us now look at some of the literary devices which are present in the second stanza of the poem. So, as I already told you in my previous class, that literary devices are poetic techniques which the poet employ in their poems to give a poetic effect to the poem in order to convey some ideas with remarkable clarity, or in order to enhance the mood or some meaning of the poem. The poets often use literary devices. Now let us look at some literary devices which are present in the poem, which are present in the second stanza of the poem. So the first line of the second stanza, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle in the Milky Way. So these two verses of the second stanza of the poem is actually using a simile, because here the poet is making a comparison between the huge number of golden daffodils that were growing by the side of the lake, which were growing in that countryside, and the uncountable number of stars in the sky. And why this comparison is made? This comparison is made because the daffodils were predominating the countryside in terms of beauty as well as in terms of number. So they were huge in number, they were also predominating the countryside in terms of beauty. So the first two lines of the second stanza is a simile. Next, 10,000 saw I at a glance. Now 10,000 saw I at a glance. So first is a simile, that is continuous as the stars, and then continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. And the second one is your 10,000 saw I at a glance. And 10,000 saw I at a glance is an example of hyperbole. So what is a hyperbole? Hyperbole is exaggeration used by poet to show something, to show the significance of something, to show, to stress upon something, to emphasize upon something. The poets often use hyperbole or exaggeration. So the poet Wordsworth wants to show the huge number of the golden daffodils that were growing in that countryside. So in order to show their huge number, in order to show how he was completely bowled over, how he was completely mesmerized by the huge number of the golden daffodils, he said that about 10,000 daffodils were growing in that particular countryside. He was not sure about their number. So he thought that probably 10,000 were growing by the side of the lake. So this particular 10,000 saw I at a glance is an example of hyperbole or exaggeration. Obviously there were not 10,000 daffodils growing in that countryside. But the poet wants to focus on the thing that there were huge number of golden daffodils. And that's why he used the exaggeration or hyperbole. 10,000 saw I at a glance. So this is a hyperbole. 10,000 I saw at a glance. So the last line of the poem, the last line of the second stanza, tossing their heads in sprightly dance, is an example of personification. You already know what is a personification. Personification means when we give some human qualities to non-human objects. So here, the last line of the second stanza, tossing their heads. So this word tossing. Tossing means to move your head from one side to other side. Now it was a cool breezy day. The breeze was making the daffodils sway on their stems. You have already seen that how the daffodils, they move on their stems, how they sway on their stems. So just like a person tossing his head, just like a person moving his head from one side to another, the daffodils were also said to be tossing their heads. So like obviously the daffodils were not tossing their heads, they were swaying on the breeze. They were swaying on their stems due to the breeze. But in order to show the inherent connection between nature and human beings, I told you that poets often show the inherent connection between nature and human beings in their poems of the romantic period. So here also the poet wants to show, he is giving the qualities of a human being to the daffodil because he wants to show the inherent connection between nature and human beings. Now, let us start the third stanza of the poem. The waves beside them dance, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. The poet Wordsworth he already said that he was so mesmerized by the dance of the golden daffodils that nothing could actually come to his notice at that point of time. So it was a cool and breezy day, and some ripples were formed on the surface of the lake, and as the sunlight is reflected, the ripples were said to be moving. The ripples were said to be they were said to be dancing. Now these sparkling waves, although they looked very beautiful because of their movement, the movement on the surface of the lake seemed like a dance. So as these waves were dancing, as the sunlight is reflected on the sparkling waves, still the poet did not get much inspiration from the beauty of the dance of the waves, because he was just completely mesmerized. He was completely under the sway of the dance of the golden daffodils. He was completely mesmerized by their sight. Nothing could come to his notice. He completely lost touch with surroundings. He was just looking or gazing at the golden daffodils. And our poet says that he could not be but gay in such a jocund company. The daffodils were said to be a cheerful company at that point of time. So due to their dance, due to their beautiful movement, they were tossing their heads, they were indulged in a sprightly dance, in a joyful dance. So because of their dance, the poet compared them with a company, with a jocund company. He said that they were like a cheerful companion who was providing him with unending happiness. So the poet was so mesmerized by their dance that he gazed and gazed at them. So he was just looking at the golden daffodils in an uninterrupted manner. He was so mesmerized, he was completely under their sway now. And at that point of time, he was not able to understand what value, what kind of satisfaction, or what kind of pleasure he was deriving out of the golden daffodils. In the second stanza also we have some literary devices, such as the first line, the waves beside them dance, is an example of personification. Personification means a literary device where human qualities are attributed to non-human objects. So here the waves are said to be dancing. So we have personification. The waves cannot dance, but due to the ripples which are formed on the surface of the lake, it seems that the rippling waters are dancing. So the waves beside them dance. This is an example of personification. Next we have jocund company. Jocund company is also an example of personification, because jocund company is a word which is always associated with human beings, but here this particular word is used in reference to the daffodils. So here jocund company is also an example of personification. Jocund company. And then we have alliteration here. Oh, sorry, it's not alliteration. We have repetition. Repetition means when a word or a phrase is repeated in a poem, that literary device is called repetition. So here we have one repetition. I gazed and gazed, in order to emphasize about how the poet was gazing at the nice feature of the golden daffodils. The poet is using the repetition gaze. So this word gaze is repeated twice in order to show how the daffodils were watched by our poet, where the poet was looking at the golden daffodils in an uninterrupted manner. So repetition is used, gazed and gazed. So the word gazed is used as a repetition. So, and finally one metaphor is used. What will the show to me have brought? It's a metaphor because the poet is in order to show the satisfaction or the pleasure which he derived from the golden daffodils, he compared them, or he referred to them with the help of another word, wealth, because it was a time of industrial revolution where people were surrounded by concepts of wealth, riches, etc. So here wealth means spiritual satisfaction or mental satisfaction that the poet was deriving out of the golden daffodils. Thank you.